My name is Umaru Balde, and I am the director of the Multicultural Family Center here in Dubuque.
This is a fairly new position for you, correct?
Yes, it is. I started here in June 2022.
And how do you like it so far?
It's good, actually. It's
Good.
good. The community is very welcoming. The work is a bit challenging, but I like the challenge. So,
If you're comfortable, I'd like to talk about some of the things that are mentioned in other articles, like when you're 12 specifically,
right.
about that kind of a struggle.
Oh, yeah. 12 years old. First time I saw the inside of a classroom, actually. But prior to that, I was given away into a child slavery kind of life at age 6. So that is a cultural and traditional thing in the West African Muslim community. So it still happens, but I did escape that life at age of 12. Then went back to my parents, and that's when I started going to school. I mean, formal education. That's when I started that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's quite a battle. You're an incredibly strong person to be able to put a lot of people. I can only imagine. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't able to help out others in the same situation when they go through that. That's admirable
Right.
and inspiring.
I had a lot of help and support to get through that and get to where I am today. And so that is why I'm very passionate about this job and helping people in the community. I don't call myself a leader for many reasons. I'm a servant. So I'm a servant to the community.
When you say there were a lot of people helping you out, was there somebody that's in your position that you knew in that time of transition for you or recovery, whatever it was that was going on with you? Was there somebody with a similar position that you have now that helped you out of that situation?
No, not really. No, I left my native country when I was a teenager. So I ended up in a different country in the Middle East. And there I was taken in by other people who've never known me before, except for a cousin that lived there. But when I moved from the first country that I lived in Egypt, into Israel, I was taken in again by completely strange people, like different everything, different culture, different religion, different everything, social background. So they saw somebody in need, they just simply helped me for that, not for anything else.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Would you say that was the start of your language comprehension?
Yes. Well, I got there with 4 languages already. I was fluent in at least 4 or 5 actually before I got to Israel, and languages that are like internationally recognized, plus many other dialects that I could and still I speak. So.
And how many do you speak today?
About 11.
11?
Fluently, yes. I do understand other 4 or 5, but I count 11 as fluent. Portuguese is my the official language.
Your first language?
Yes.
Okay.
My mother language is called Fulani. It's a tribal kind of language.
Uh-huh.
And then I grew up speaking Arabic because of the Muslim part of my life, my parents. French as a second language in school in the country, and then Spanish I picked along the way. Then I speak Urdu, which is spoken in Pakistan. That's a long story about the reason I learned that one. And then I do speak, what else? Just dialects from the Middle East and Africa. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So can you tell us some things in those languages that you know? Like specifically, one question I would have, one word that I think belongs out in the universe as much as possible is love.
Right.
I want to hear how that translates over the many different languages that you know.
Oh yeah, in Portuguese and Spanish it's amor.
Amor.
Yes. In Fulani we have so many words for love because Fulani is a very large language which is divided into many different dialects. So, but the main one is jike.
Jike.
Yes,
okay.
That's in Fulani. Arabic is hub. In Urdu, it's mahabbat.
Mahabbat?
Yes.
Okay.
Or some people use the Hindi version of that. They say pyar.
Pyar.
Yes.
Okay.
And in Hebrew is ahava.
Ahava.
Yes. There are others. French is amour.
Amor,
Yes.
like Portuguese
Amour,
and Spanish
yes.
a little bit.
Yes, with the
Okay,
OU, amour in French.
got it.
So yeah, I don't know what. And the Mandarin Chinese is also another interesting one, but the most known one is I.
I.
So yes, to say I love you in Mandarin Chinese, 我爱你.
Well, I.
Yes. So
Wow, and
yeah.
those
So
aren't similar languages by any means.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Portuguese, French, and Spanish are
Yeah.
somewhat
Those are
similar.
Latin. Yes.
Portuguese obviously has many different common
Versions.
words,
Right. Yes.
but they interrelate. But when you go to Mandarin
Right.
or you
And
said
then Hebrew and
Hebrew,
Arabic and Urdu, those are all some of them right from right to left. So it shifts even your thinking. You were used to thinking in Portuguese and Spanish, left to right. You're using a different part of the brain when you switch writing, even from right to left versus left to right. It's just, yeah.
Okay.
It's
So what's a good greeting if somebody wants? And I know sometimes it's offensive if because you do speak English so well.
yeah.
To hear other people trying to speak your language, is that
Mhm.
something that you're like, ah, come on, or do you find it?
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting because I run into those situations a lot. I traveled a lot, and in every country before I go, if I don't know the language, I make sure to learn a few words like how to say hello, I'm sorry, or excuse me, and then ask him for a bathroom. But
Yeah,
even in
where's
my
it?
languages, when I'm in a different country and somebody says those words, it's just we connect
Yeah.
right away. So
They
it's
see that you're making an attempt
Right,
to
right.
understand the culture that
the
you're
culture.
in right now.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
it's huge.
So it's fascinating to me. Like even here in Iowa, it happens sometimes where somebody is. As a matter of fact, this is. I was at an airport the day before yesterday, and some Hispanic family were looking for directions. They're going up and down the stairs, and I stopped and I asked them in Spanish, "What are you looking for?" They paused and they just looked at me. The father, I guess, I'm assuming was the dad, asked me like, "¿Cómo hablas español? How do you speak Spanish?" I was like, "Well, I learned it." I was like, "You're not from Honduras?" I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm from Africa." And it started a whole conversation. People speak Spanish in Africa? I was like, "No, not really, but we can learn." So
Was there a book or a school of thought that provided the foundation for your philosophy on leading, or as you say, not leading, but
yeah,
helping?
I think I always go back to the Quran, the Muslim book. I memorized the Quran, like many other people, many Muslims do that. But that is number one. Number two is a book called Servant Leadership. So the servant leadership, when I read that book, I found a whole lot of things. I started reading it in college, in grad school. It was just fascinating to me. But then one of the most important ones I can refer to is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Leaders.
What is your goal as a leader? Or what is your goal right now in your position?
Primarily is to motivate and inspire people to basically see the best in each other. Because for me, my job is not just a job. It's also selfishly a way for me to pay back those who did help me get here, get to where I am, right? And so I was motivated by many people. When somebody looks at me anywhere, I do a lot of public speaking. When you see me on the stage, I want you to not just see me standing there, just picture a whole village behind me. So there's a lot of people who contributed to me getting here. So that is my ultimate primary goal, is to do the same, especially with the young people. That is the reason actually I took this job here in Dubuque, because when I look at the job description, I saw a lot to do with teens and kids, and I was like, that is where the change starts, with the young people. Secondly, and ultimately, is as personally, that is, I have 2 little kids, and my goal is to raise them to have some empathy, to be able to put themselves in somebody else's shoes, just to understand the world and the people around them. That we have a whole lot that we take for granted, with some people would die for what we have here, but we don't think about that. So I try to teach my kids, hopefully raise them to understand that, to be a person who always thinks about others.
When you study the Quran,
Yes.
do you notice similarities through all books? Like there's Christianity, Hinduism,
Judaism.
the books that are
Right.
based off of those religions
Yeah.
are very similar.
Right.
So similar, I think people don't even realize.
They don't. They don't. That is right. Because I also do have a master's in religious philosophy, which is comparative religions. The reason I went into that program is I reflected on my own childhood and thought everything that happened to me was because of religion. But so I wanted to understand why. So I went into studying religion very intensively, just to find out that actually, no, it was not religion. It was just some selfish person who misunderstood religion in the books, like many other so-called religious leaders that took advantage of everybody else around them. But we have a lot more in common when it comes to religion than the differences. People just take what they want out of it. Usually, what serves them best, that's what they take, and then forget the rest of it, the good. The message is all one and the same. Yes, you know.
What would you say the ultimate message is of all of the books combined? What's the common theme?
Yeah. I find empathy in all of them. Basically, treat others good. Just be good in this life. Like, it's a journey. We're all in it together in this journey of life. We all started in the same place from the mother's womb, and we all end up in the graves. Regardless of what we look like, how we think, and everything, it's the same beginning and it's the same destination. So once you get that from these books and from your own life, I think you will take life very simple and easy. That's how I decide to live mine. And also, all the books, one other thing they have in common. They have a lot in common, but the one that I take out is the message of forgiveness. Forgive, period. Yourself and everyone else around you, no matter what it is that happens. Just once you learn to do that, your life will be much easier and really good.